Sir, before I speak on the motion itself, I wish to suggest that since this is the last day of the session, we might probably devote the whole day in discussing the principles that have been placed before us. The House knows, sir, that we have left many things incomplete. Many reports have been presented to us, and we have only dealt with parts of them. A good many sections of the recommendations of the committee have been left out for further consideration. I submit, sir, that this should not happen to this particular report. The report, in my opinion, is the most important of all because it represents that part of the constitution which the masses of India are looking forward to for the fulfillment of the promises made to them by their leaders. Everyone is watching as to how far we are serious in our promises to ameliorate their condition and make better the standard of living of the average man. From that point of view, I submit that this particular portion of the Constitution should be given more importance than the other parts of it. Every opportunity should be given to the members to express themselves. I would further submit that the recommendations should not be taken into consideration in this session if the criticisms that I wish to level are going to have any effect on this. In this case, I do not know whether we shall be able to go to the people and tell them that we are striving to protect their interests not only temporarily but permanently also. My first criticism against the present report is that it is exceptionally official in nature. The attitude of the members of the committee is very correctly reflected in the way the report is written. I submit to you and to the House, sir, that this is not the correct attitude when dealing with fundamental rights of the Constitution. India is totally incomparable with any other country in this regard. In my opinion, the committee viewed the whole question from an utterly wrong standpoint. It appears to me that our farmers of the Constitution have merely studied the existing constitutions and choose what they thought would probably serve as a soap to us. This, I think, summarizes in a nutshell what has been presented to us. They did not want, in any case, to go very far, but nonetheless, they were not in a position to leave out the social and economic aspects of the Constitution altogether untouched. They have dealt with it in a half hearted manner. Therefore, this cannot be accepted by a very large section of people either here or outside. We expected, sir, that the Indian society would be in the future be regulated on definite principles. What are the principles that have been embodied here? One of the principles is that people have a non justiciable right to a means of livelihood. It is a matter of common knowledge, and any modern government would be ashamed not to own what has been embodied here. It is the absolute minimum that every modern constitution and government must declare. We do not want the hollow declaration. We may not insist upon the maximum also, and I am prepared for a compromise. But we do not want to depend on mere platitudes and pious wishes. At least since the early years, the character of the ruling party has altogether changed. The change was due to the fact that there was a solemn promise that the government of India would be that of the peasants and workers of India. That was what implied so many rural people and youths to sacrifice their lives for the attainment of independence. If you analyze the figures, you will be startled to find out none of the vested interests sacrificed their lives, and those who sacrificed were purely the backward and illiterate people from the rural communities. That being so, it is our duty to look to the promises that we had held out, and we should have kept that ideal in view while considering the report. We should not have tried merely to make half-hearted recommendations. Let the people of India be given a definite program. Instead of all that, we are merely going to hold out some distant and indistinct hope without any effective means as to when and how they are going to be realized. I submit that it will be far better if we utilize the time between this session and the next session for reconsideration of the recommendations in the light of the criticism that may be leveled against the report on the floor of this House. We may then hope to have something better than what we have here today. Honorable Deputy Speaker, everyone knows that India is predominantly an agricultural country. The condition of farmers is very poor and pathetic. It is seen that owing to shortage of storage facilities, farmers have to sell their crops at cheaper rates. It is true that we have become self-reliant in the production of food grains, fruits and vegetables. But I am sorry to say that there are still many areas where vegetables and fruits are either thrown away or fed to the animals owing to surplus production. Therefore, if proper storage facilities are made available, then the farmers can sell their crops at remunerative prices. Sir, one of the important things is that storage facilities are greatly required in rural areas as farmers have to face a lot of difficulties to reach urban areas. Several times during monsoon, they face problems due to improper roads and lack of transportation facilities. If storage facilities are provided in rural areas, then farmers can make proper use of it. Sir, the idea of the Warehousing Corporation's amendment bill is to strengthen the procurement sector and the storage facilities in the country. This primarily deals with the products of the farmers. There is a provision in this bill to make the warehousing corporations more flexible and more acceptable to get and store the produce of the farmers in time. Sir, as the House is already aware, there are three vital stages in the entire agricultural operations in the country after the crop is put in the field. These three stages are of procurement, storage, and distribution. These are the most important factors that determine the economy of the agriculturists. It is said to say that today in our country, the contribution of agriculture to the gross domestic product is only 1%. What is the reason for this? The reason is that the farmers do not have proper storage facilities. They do not get the right price for their produce. We have achieved the green revolution in the country. But does it mean that the only aim of the farmer is to achieve self-sufficiency in the production of rice and wheat? I am sorry to say that it is not the only aim. At the same time, our country is also importing pulses, edible oils, and oil seeds worth several crores of rupees. We do not have proper and sufficient storage facilities for them. Earlier, there was a very innovative scheme of making grain banks in tribal areas. It proved to be very beneficial for the farmers. If the Warehousing Corporation really wants to do justice to the farmers, it has to go to the villages. It has to go to the panchayats. It must have collection facilities at the panchayat level. The age-old system still exists as there is no other system for the farmers to sell their produce. Sir, with the new trade-related policies and patent laws, we should see that the farmers get the best price at his doorstep. That could be possible only if the Central Warehousing Corporation becomes proactive. I firmly believe that the present government has taken a right step in this matter. I congratulate the Honorable Minister for bringing in a bill of this nature. I feel that the warehousing corporation should be made more flexible and autonomous. We should involve experts in this field and create more grain banks at the grassroots level. We should develop warehousing in the backward areas of the country so that the farmers living there get due price for their produce. No one should resort to the distress sales. Sir, it has been seen recently that several states were hit by floods. This resulted in the destruction of the food stocks of the farmers. They were in a great trouble. Today, what has happened is that they do not have enough money to purchase seeds. Had there been warehousing facilities available to them, they would not have faced such a bad plight. Sir, there is a need to extend this facility more in rural areas so that it facilitates the farmer to tide over the situation. The Honorable Minister has made a provision in the bill for setting up a network with the nationalized and scheduled banks. Under this same scheme, if the banks extend a helping hand to the farmers by providing maximum amount of funds, it would be a commendable step. It is a suitable provision in the present era of liberalization and globalization. Sir, it has been noticed that more often than not, warehouses are used by the traders and farmers do not get a chance to make use of this facility. They are deprived of it. They should not be discriminated against. They should be allowed to store their food grains in a justified manner.